What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is Hainsey coming back for another video, and today we are here to preview the 2023 NRL Telstra Premiership season. That's right, guys. It's time. It's time for this season to begin. The talk is over. The trolls are done. It's done. It's now time for the footy to start. And here on the channel today, we're going to be doing our season preview / ladder predictions. It's just predictions. It's not going to be true or not. Who knows? So don't take offense if any of your teams there are low on the ladder than you expected, etc., etc. So don't get too offended. It's just a preview, just a prediction. Doesn't really mean anything. It's all up to them. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new around here, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn notifications on, see more videos like this one. We're currently at 646 subscribers. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, with the season kicking off this weekend. We're on the ride, we're on the grind, we're ready to go. Obviously, we'll be at round one. Dolphins v the Roosters at Suncorp Stadium. I will be at that game. Matchday vlog will come out the day after. So it's exciting times on the channel, that I can promise you. So please stick around, enjoy the ride. Don't forget, like I said, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Let's get the 10 likes for this video, because it's the pre-season done. It's the ladder prediction. Let's get this done. So get the 10 likes. Also, follow me on my socials, Instagram and TikTok at Hainsey_YT. We're currently at 1,847 on TikTok and about 1,400 followers on Instagram. So we've got a pretty good supporter base at the moment, but we're going to continue that this year. So by doing that, like, subscribe, turn notifications on, see more videos like this one. Alright, guys, without further ado, let's get into this video. Hope you guys enjoy my 2023 NRL ladder predictions. Hope you guys enjoy. Come on! Yeah! So we are ready to go. In 17th place, who unfortunately, I've got it right here. Who's getting the dreaded wooden spoon? It's not going to be the West Tigers, that's for sure. For me, to get the wooden spoon this season is going to be the New Zealand Warriors. I said it. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be the Warriors now. Looking into the Warriors side, they haven't really recruited well. They've lost one of their best players in Reece Walsh to the Broncos. They had a good pre-season trial hit out with Luke Metcalf, but he's out for the first half of the season. There's been a lot of hype on him again this year, how they're saying, oh, like, we're back at home, full season at home, we'll be alright, but it's the same old Warriors for me, honestly. Like, they just aren't competitive as much as they used to. Hopefully, I don't want to see the Warriors come last, but unfortunately, I can't see the Warriors going really high this season. They came second last year. There's teams that have improved, which I will name very shortly, so I just think the Warriors will get the wooden spoon. I think it's a safe option. Could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but I can see them getting the spoon. That's why I've chosen the New Zealand Warriors. In 16th place, it's going to be the new boys. It's going to be the Dolphins. Unfortunately, this season, they're going to be really struggling to get wins. They do have a decent team. Not bad, but it's aging, it's a new season, a whole new franchise for them, so it's going to be difficult to see how they go. And I think 16th spot, I don't think they'll get the wooden spoon, but the 16th spot, I think it's a fair guess for them. They might win a handful of games, but I can't really see them going anywhere in this competition, so I got them at 16th. 15th, I've got Newcastle, the Newcastle Knights. Now, a lot of people back them to get the spoon, but I just think that they're a good enough side to avoid the spoon. Yeah, they were disappointing again last year. There's been a lot of question marks on Newcastle already. They're losing players. They're also letting go players like, I think they let a representative prop from a Newcastle junior to the Sharks to get Lockie Miller. They're going to play Ponga in the halves, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Newcastle. Adam O'Brien's got 6 weeks to prove himself, and I think he'll be the first coach to be sacked this year. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do, Newcastle. So I've got them at 15th. I'm not really doing much. 14th spot, I've got the Dragons. Now the Dragons, it's the same thing. I think they're not in for a good year. They've had already too many. They've had one of the most shocking off seasons I've ever seen. Moan with his court case, and there's another one. Another player this week has done the same. Announced that he's pleaded guilty for an assault charge or something like that. So they're going to be stood down from the NRL. So they're going to be without players. I think the only reason them saving the spoon is going to be Ben Hunt. I think Ben Hunt will be in for another good year, but I think he'll be the only reason why they can avoid the wooden spoon. It's not looking good for the Tigers, the Dragons in 2023, and I think they'll be good enough to avoid the spoon, but then they're going to be in the bottom 4. 13th spot, a bit of a shock this one. It's going to be the Canberra Raiders. Now, the Canberra Raiders, again, they're sort of that team that they have a good year, then the season after they can't follow it up, and I think that's what's going to happen this year. Definitely a lot of interesting things about the Raiders, but look, I can't really see much in the Raiders. Their pre-season form as well, you got to take that into consideration in these lower teams, and they were dreadful. But yeah, I think the Raiders, they won't do really too much this season again, and I think they'll be good enough to avoid the bottom 4, but only just. I think there's been a lot of teams that have improved, so I think I've got to be 13th. I've got the Gold Coast Titans. Now, they will improve 1 spot from last year, and the thing with the Titans this year, there's been a lot of hate on them, and I've seen a lot of content creators that have a massive dislike to the Titans, and this is my honest thing here. It's a building process. Now, the problem with them last year was the fact that they went with youth over experience. They let go Jamal Hoggerty. They had Brimo and Tanner Boyd or Sexton in the halves at one stage, with Jacob Campbell in at the fullback role. Obviously, it didn't work. This year, though, they've rectified that problem. They've got Brimo back at fullback. You're going to have Tanner Boyd in the halves with Kieran Foran, the big name. Hooker, Sam Verrills from the Roosters, 2-time premiership winner, premiership in 2019. I don't mind the Titans this year. I just think that there's teams above them still at this stage. But I think what's really going to work this year is the fact that they've got Isaac Liu at lock. He's going to link up well with Sam Verrills from that Roosters experience. I think Liu in the front row was a little bit lost last year, but they've got him in the 13. I think it'll work. Tino up front will do a lot of work through the middle. My personal favourite, Fodawaker. He was actually a local junior at my local club here in Brisbane, so bit of a soft spot for him. He's going to be in the front row with him. I think it's going to be an okay season for the Titans, but I just think it's going to be competitive between about from 8th to about 12th. It could be any of them to be in the top 8, but I think the defence from the Titans will unfortunately be their Achilles heel this season. Their for and against will be not as good as the other teams. I'm not going to say it's going to be bad. I'm going to say it's not going to be great as those other teams fighting for the 8. So I think it's not going to be far from them missing the 8 this year, but I'd still have to put them in 12th. So we're moving on to number 11th. It's going to be their big brothers in the Brisbane Broncos. Now, same thing with the Broncos. Yeah, there's teams that are above them for me. That's why they're down in 11th. Obviously, last year we saw that decline at the Broncos in a month from top 4 to missing out in the 8. I think it was pretty funny, if I'm honest. They've got some good signings this year. Obviously, arguably the big one is Reece Walsh at fullback. I think that's going to help them. If Reynolds can stay fit for the majority of the season, I think they'll do okay. But it's going to be how they go against teams that they expect to win. And so it's going to be interesting with the Broncos. I think they're not there yet. Last year, they should have made the 8, honestly. They should have made the 8. But I think this year there's teams that have improved them high on the ladder, so that's why I've got them in 10th position, in 11th position. Coming in the number 10, it's going to be the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Same thing with the Bulldogs. Obviously, great end of last year. I think they're going to build on that. The only thing is, though, I just can't see them fitting in the top 8. That's my personal opinion. I can't see them fit in my top 8. Obviously, the big signings, Reid Marnie, Villamali kick out. The link up with Burton from Penrith, Reid Marnie as well. Kick out, Burton, Addo Carl on the other side. There's some big signings there for the Dogs. And next year, I reckon they'll make the 8. Next year when they get Stephen Crichton. But they're in for a good year. They're just going to miss out on the 8. Another team that's going to miss out on the 8, it's going to be the 9th place. They're going to get the dreaded 9th place again. And that's going to be the West. Now, you might be thinking, what on earth are you talking about? But I'm really impressed with the Tigers this year. Reason being is that they're coming into this season with arguably two of the biggest signings this year. Abby Coruscant, number 1. Now, you might be thinking, oh, the Tigers, they're shit these days. And they were last year. But they're bringing in a 3-time premiership hooker in Abby Coruscant, which, as we saw with Penrith, really sets up the attack. And, yeah, they might have Luke Brooks in there, but you can easily have a dummy halfback in there. But as long as you're getting good serves from your 9 into your 13 into your 6, you can really play anyone at 7. Look at the Roosters in 2020. We had Kyle Flanagan of all people in the halves, and we did just fine until we got pulled our pants down in finals. But that's beside the point. So I don't think the reason having Luke Brooks in there is going to be all and end all. I think it'll be fine. Dewey, Laurie, Isaiah Papali'i, their forward pack's looking good. And the way that the Tigers can win games of football this year is if they can dominate the middle with the forward pack, and I think they're going to do that. And again, I think once again they're going to have. I think the thing that's going to miss them from the 8 is the fact that there's going to be some games there they're not going to be great, and teams like obviously like last year, with the big clubs, they'll put a number on them, and I think that's what's going to be the difference. It's going to be the for and against that's going to miss them out on the 8, and I reckon they're just going to miss out on the 8. But the next three seasons, I can promise you that the Tigers will play finals footy. That I can assure. All right, we're into the top 8 now. We're into the top 8. In 8th place, I've got Manly Sea-Eagles. Good old Manly Sea-Eagles. Now, with Manly, Turbo's back. I think that's going to be the reason why they're going to make the 8. They obviously won the preseason challenge. Schuster, I think what Manly should do is have Schuster at 13 and Cooper Johns and Cherry Evans in the halves. Cooper Johns played phenomenally through the preseason challenge, and I think it's going to be hard to have him as a 14, hard to make the side. The best way to fit everyone, you have Cooper Johns at the 6, Schuster as a ball-playing 13. He wants to play 5'8". That's a perfect opportunity to play as a ball-playing 13 where you can do some tough yards and still set up incredible plays. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for him. But obviously he's going to be the man to play 6 with Cherry Evans. He looked really good. Some good signings there. What's his name? From the West Tigers, the back rower. He's there as well with Alagawatu. They linked up well in that preseason game against the Roosters. So I think that they'll be in for a good year again. Manly in 8th spot. 7th spot, I've got Parramatta. The feckin' Eels. Those fucking Eels. Nah, that's just an inside joke. So the Eels, I've got them at 7th. Made the top 4 last year. Big outs. You've got to really consider the big outs there. Reid Marnie and Zai Papali'i. But the fact that they've been able to re-sign their halves in Brown and Moses, which is a big win for the Parramatta Eels, and I think they'll be just fine. I think they're just going to fall off a little bit. Obviously they've got Josh Hodgson from the Raiders in. There'll be a little bit of a question mark. Let's see how he goes with his coming back from the knee reconstruction. So that's good. You got to take that into account. I think they'll be okay. The only reason why I don't have them any higher is because the teams that are higher this year that they're going to improve from last year. So we'll get into that very shortly. Sixth spot, it's got to be the North Queensland Cowboys. Now with the Cowboys, they had a fantastic season last year. However, I'm not sold on them one bit. The reason why is because there's so much teams that are better than them right now. They had a great season, don't get me wrong. The only reason why they made the top four, and I'll say this, and I'll be happy to say this, I don't care what you guys say, that the Roosters, Souths, and Melbourne last year were decimated by injury. For example, Latrell Mitchell was out for the majority of the year, and we all saw what South Sydney done in the long run, made the preliminary final. Melbourne Storm injuries, Robert Jennings, Christian Welsh, Ryan Pappenhausen, he's still not going to be right yet, so the question marks on that. The Roosters, of course, we don't really need to get into the Roosters because, we all know what happened last year. But yeah, I think those teams will improve more, fully fit. But I think the Cowboys will get a little bit of second year syndrome. I think that's the best that they can play last year. I don't think they can get any better. Well, teams can, so that's why I've got them 6. Still think they can get a home final, get a finals win, but not much further than that. 5th spot, I've got the Melbourne Storm back in 5th spot. Now, I was like all pre-season, I'm thinking, watch Melbourne come out and dominate early because of them being bundled out of the top 8 last year, and I think they would have been really disappointed in that. And Craig Bellamy's his last season, and he would have had them full guns blazing, wanting to win out this premiership. I still think it can happen, but you got to take the injuries already into this season. Obviously, Ryan Pappenhausen isn't going to be right till like the first half of the season. He's still recovering from that broken kneecap, and that was brutal. So he's doing everything he can to get back on the field. It'll be a little bit of a while, but I think that they're going to struggle a little bit. When I mean by struggle, they're going to be out of the top 4. They'll be 5th. They'll be thereabouts, but I can't see them into the top 4. 4th spot, I've got the Cronulla Sharks. I've got the Sharkies. Now, they've been impressed. I'm impressed by them in their pre-season form. Had a good season last year. I think they're going to be a little bit annoyed on how they finished last year. Fitzy, their defence, they've got it sorted. Not really much change at the Sharks. The only 2 big losses, would you say, would be for Andrew Fafita and Tom. They retired, but they've got some up-and-coming forwards that we can easily fill in that position as a bench warmer. And obviously, that young prop from Newcastle, that representative prop, he's there as well. I don't know if he'll play this year, but he's in there about, so he'll be just fine, and they'll be in for another good year. Nico Hines coming off a Dally M season, he's only going to get better. Like they're a smoky to win the premiership, Cronulla, and that's why I reckon they're good enough to retain into the top 4. 3rd spot, I've got the Penrith Panthers. I've got the Penny Panthers. Now, reason being is they've got a lot of players that aren't playing this year, and you've got to really consider that into account. They're going to be just fine. Just don't get me wrong. Obviously, the big one, Api Coruscant. Now, we saw in the World Club Challenge that they were really under the pump, not producing much attack, but they will find a solution for that. Penrith, all 4 grades won the premiership last year, from Jersey Flegg, SG Ball, reserve grade, first grade. They can do it all, Penrith. I think they're just going to slip off a tick. They're still going to be good enough, and the reason I think they're going to get fatigued come the back end of the season. We saw the Roosters in 2020, what they were like trying to do the 3-peat. It was tough on them, and eventually injuries and fatigue took its toll. Obviously being flogged by our arch rivals 60-8, and then bounced out the first 2 weeks. So we saw that firsthand, and I think it's going to be a similar result with Penrith. They'll potentially bounce out in straight sets this season, or maybe a preliminary final. I can't see them getting back to the grand final. 2nd spot. This is really getting me excited for these 2 predictions. It's going to be the arch enemy, South Sydney Rabbitohs. They're going to be 2nd. Now, it's about Souths, man. They're There's something about them this year. They've got that look in their eye. They're going to be good this year. Latrell Mitt, back from the US. He's going to have he hasn't played a full season at South yet because he's been injured and suspended. So I think he's hungry for a full season. And South Sydney, full strength for the entirety of the season. It scares me, and I think they will make the grand final that way. And I think they're in for a good year, South Sydney, as much as I hate it, but you can't deny it. And finally, my boys, the Sydney Roosters, will become minor premiers. Now, you might think I'm a little bit biased, but hear me out. We've got arguably the best squad on paper. Look at our lineup. Our spine, for example. Tedesco. Walker, Keary, or other way around. Keary, Walker. Brandon Smith at 9. He's been now a Dally M Medal hooker of the year before. He's a good hooker. Might give us a little bit of time, like 2018. I'll get that in a sec. And also that our forward pack as well. Like, we've just got a stacked side on paper, and it's so hard not to put the Roosters anywhere near the top, And I think we will win the comp personally, but obviously there's a few outs at the start of the season. Arguably, so Angus Crichton and Satila Tupanua and Connor Watson. Those three are indefinitely out. Well, Satili's back around about May. Connor Watson, July, August. So we will see him. When we get it right, come the back end of the season, when our full team is available, no one's going to stop us. Arguably, the only team that could stop us this year is South Sydney. That's the only way I can see us getting beat in a grand final. Which leads us to that's the end of the ladder predictions. Let's get into our finals predictions from here. So, like I said, from week 1 of the finals, we would have the Melbourne Storm take on Manly in Melbourne, and I think Melbourne will get the job done over Manly. The second elimination final is the Cowboys and the Eels. I'm going to tip the Cowboys at home. Obviously, we saw that preliminary final game last year. I think it'll be similar to that, but I think the Cowboys will get the job done. Leading us into our qualifying finals, the Roosters and the Sharks. I think the Roosters will be too good for the Sharkies, like we saw in 2018. Then we lead it to a core stadium, the Rabbitohs and the Panthers. And I think it's going to be the Bunnies. I think the Bunnies will win against the Panthers, which means that our first semi-final will be the Cronulla Sharks and the Melbourne Storm. And I think the Cronulla Sharks will overcome their straight set exit last year, and they'll beat the Melbourne Storm, setting up a date with the South Sydney Rabbitohs in the preliminary final. While the Panthers and the Cowboys, and I think it'll be the Panthers. The Panthers will just do enough to beat the Cowboys, leading into their first preliminary final between the Roosters and the Panthers at Allianz Stadium. Man, what a game this one! And I think the Roosters will end the Panthers' reign. That I said it there. The Roosters will end the Panthers' reign. Then into the second preliminary final. We've been asking this for nearly 70 years, but South Sydney will win a preliminary final. They'll beat the Cronulla Sharks, which sets up a local derby rivalry between the Sydney Roosters and the South Sydney Rabbitohs in the grand final. I can promise you, if we thought last year's grand final, that build-up was gigantic, this would be the biggest gigantic build-up to any game of rugby league, never alone a grand final in history, and it'll never be repeated again. Two teams that hate each other over 100 years of history. Oh, sorry. One team's got 100 years of history. The other team's got 20. But the rivalry's still there. And it's going to be punches in the grandstand. It's got the tension in Sydney will be gigantic for this game. It's giving me goosebumps now thinking about it. But that's who I think it's going to happen. The Roosters Rabbitohs will play in the grand final this year. It's got to happen. It's our time, right? It's been nearly 80 years since we last played in the grand final. And yeah, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. But I think the Roosters, if they can overcome the emotion, that's the only reason why I think South Sydney can beat us on any day, is the emotion that they get under our skin, and we are so hard to, and we've seen that in previous games that our emotions get the better of us, and South Sydney, like that cool, calm collective. That's the only way I can see South Sydney beating us on any day. But that's it, guys. That's my 2023 season preview and ladder predictions. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you If you guys are new around here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn those notifications on to see more videos like this one. Game day vlogs are returning this Sunday, Monday. Can't wait for it. I hope you guys are there. Stick around for the channel. It's going to be great. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram. It's going to be a great season. I can promise you that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. What do you guys think in the comment section down below? What are you guys' thoughts on my later predictions? Are they accurate? Are they fair? Or are you just an absolute goose? I think I'm a goose. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, it's goodbye for now.